it goes back to my point about why your character is so important. At the end of the day, you're an employee, bruh. One day you're trying to plan how you're going to defend your Eastern Conference title. The next day, you're at home with a pissed off fiance that you embarrassed and your children that you embarrassed. And you got to sit in timeout for a year and sit in this mistake because of what? This is Caesar Walker, the cool, calm, collected one.
And I'm Ronnie Gatry, the emotional one.
And we are the Tipping Point Podcast, your source for the black male's perspective.
Tipping Point Podcast.
Ime Udoka, we all know the situation. Boston coach who's now suspended for a year by the organization, and they'll wait to determine his fate with the organization at a later date.
Right.
When this came out, because it's been, at the time of recording, it happened, a week ago? Just about?
Yeah, I remember it being pretty live last week.
Yeah. And because we didn't record, we get, of course we get to talk about it. Of course we got to talk about it. I'm pretty sure we don't usually talk about stuff like this anymore because of, we've asked Dort or discuss the trash, but I felt like there was a lot from this that we could discuss because I have a lot of questions for you guys.
Okay.
Your initial thoughts when this came out, though. Let's start there.
New cat, still undefeated. Can I say that?
You just did. You just said it.
Those are my first thoughts, though. That's the first thing I thought.
No judgment. That's how you felt.
I mean,
elaborate.
Doesn't it summarize the situation?
I guess.
Bro, like, come on, man. Let's be real. Bro, and I know it shouldn't matter, but we're talking about Nia Long. Like, how?
Oh, that's simple. We'll talk more. That's
Como Day Walker?
Easy money.
You see what I did there?
No.
Oh, I was trying to make a play on Como Day.
Oh, okay, I got
Isn't
you.
that what that means?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep working on that.
It's a rough landing. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but keep going. These are your thoughts.
So my first thought was like, okay, new cat's undefeated. Number two, like, it's Nia Long, bro. And then I realized and I understand the identity of the woman. Like, I think pictures leaked of who people thought it was, and it turned out it wasn't that person.
Right.
And then I haven't seen any resurfacing.
When you saw the, okay, all right.
I didn't see who it really was. Like, I still haven't seen that.
When you saw the picture of who it was alleged.
It takes me back to point number two. Bro, Nia Long, really? For this?
I want to see I'm curious now what picture you saw.
What I saw was not impressive. What I saw was
enough. Was right up his alley.
But
what I saw was right up his alley.
But
and more than Nia.
No. You're gonna be respectful on this podcast, okay. Walker.
All right.
This is Queen Nia Long we're talking about. Okay.
She's not your type though.
She's not. But
that's what I'm saying.
Even though I'm harping on it,
okay,
that shows you the reverence I have for her.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
In terms of physical attraction, I don't know her personally.
Yeah, right.
You say she's all right?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, she was the only reason I tuned into an episode of, NCIS Los Angeles. Because she was on there.
I didn't even know she was on there. But anyway. So, those are my first two thoughts. And I really want to know, like, I'm really curious, like, Ime, like, is everything good at the crib? You know what I mean? Yeah. And Ime's a guy who, he's been successful. He won some chips in San Antonio as a player, right? He was a role player, but still, he got some rings. But as a coach, like, no one expected NBA Finals. Who did he team put him out? Can't remember.
What team don't do that. That's not necessary. That is not necessary. Okay, I know you Dub Nation. I know you
Tyler.
No.
Anyway, no, not important.
It really isn't important. Go ahead.
But thinking about the success he got as a coach in his first year, going to the NBA Finals, like, okay, we get it. Like, people know who you are now, like, really know who you are. So there's a lot of fame, a lot of clout that comes with that. And as Coach 30 says, the moment got too big, and he succumbed to the temptation of whoever this woman is. So, like, again, I don't know if this really happened. This is my consumption of it all. Yeah, let's stop there, and I'm sure we'll unpack later. But those are my first thoughts.
Fair enough. What were your thoughts when this came out, Black?
My first thought was that punishment is a bit heavy-handed, in my opinion.
That was a
Wait,
thought.
are we talking about the punishment, or are we talking about the blackmail impact?
That was my first thought.
No, we're just talking first initial thoughts.
Oh, okay. I
First
thought
initial
we were
thoughts.
coming from a.
We can come back to you if you had.
I just echo that though.
Okay.
Because I was definitely on
I
that
was
tip.
thinking that too.
Yeah.
I also was like, man, this has been a rough offseason for Boston.
Right.
First Bill Russell.
Right.
Now this.
Could it have been a smoke screen for the Sarver situation? Probably. But anyway, go ahead, Black.
It was
You
just
let
like-
me cook, so I gotta let you cook.
Oh, that's fine. It was just that I'm like, okay, how many games did Deshaun Watson get?
Mm.
And this dude got a whole year for consensual?
Because at first, wasn't it like half the season?
No.
It was always the full season for Udoka. Oh, okay. I thought I heard it was like
No.
okay. It was always a full. Okay, well then, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of heavy-handed
yeah.
for
Well,
what was consensual.
but let me ask you this: the NFL punished Deshaun Watson, right?
Yeah, they have like free
Yes.
reign to do whatever.
That's a good point, Walker.
Boston decided this wasn't an NBA decision. This was a Boston decision.
Because a
which-
lady was connected to a guy that was in the front office.
allegedly. Allegedly.
Okay.
You always got to say that.
Yes.
That
Trying to
protects.
that is
trying to get us
important.
demonetized.
I would hate that.
Low key, we're already demonetized.
Fine print.
But yeah, that was my like, man, just for what
Yeah.
he allegedly did. Well, I guess not. They had an investigation, so
Right.
Yeah. An independent investigation at that.
and the other thing was that if it was consensual and two people did it, why we only see one person? That was the only other thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thought.
Like if both of them violated the policy, then both of them should be on Front Street. But only him. He's taking the heat for everybody right now.
Right.
Those are my first two
Did
initial
you?
thoughts.
That never occurred.
No, but I like that.
Okay. Like I said, I think you caught a lot of my sentiments. I was kind of slow to react to it because I was like, okay, the more I know, the more information leaks and comes out about this, because it didn't make a lot of sense when they first announced it. I was like, you just said a whole bunch of nothing as an organization.
Right.
And so I just went on to something else. I was like, I'm just going to wait. And so to Black's point, I thought it was a bit excessive. And then once I began to hear more about it, I was like, I see. Now it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me how we got here with him. I do want to pick up on something you said. So you was like, because people were asking, why, dude, you got Nia Long. Why would you care to elaborate further on that?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, we all sin and fall short, I guess. But like, certain temptation is really hard to resist.
Yeah.
And I don't know Udoka's personal history, but man, and I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone's throwing it at you enough, you're gonna catch.
Yeah. I mean,
It's that simple. He's still a man.
why you think that's demonized? Because I don't want to deal. Well, let me start with this. Obviously, his actions are indefensible. Do you agree?
I question that.
Let me hear you.
Can you look up when he got married to Nia Long?
They're
They're
not
not
married.
married.
My point exactly.
He's engaged though.
Now I'm not condoning it, and I'm not saying there's anything I would do.
But what I'm saying,
But is it sexual immorality if that's not your wife? And forgive me, Walker, because I'm doing something that I don't like when people do to me, I'm answering your question with a question.
Okay.
But let me answer. Let me be fair, because
Okay.
I don't want to eat my own medicine tonight. You asked, why is it demonized?
I said, well, before I said that, I wanted to be clear that I personally don't think that his actions, I think his actions, I wouldn't defend his actions. I think his actions are indefensible, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
But you have different thoughts.
I just, my thoughts are different.
Okay.
Nia Long's not his wife.
Okay.
Does it make it right? No, but I would defend him on the pretense of, do I marry? I don't know how much that weighs in the grand scheme of things, but I'm at least giving him credit for that.
Well, let me not make no assumptions. How do you feel? Do you feel like his actions are defensible or indefensible?
He shouldn't have done what he was supposed. He was wrong.
So he was wrong.
He was wrong. He was wrong to do it because there was a policy in place and he violated that policy.
The reason why I say his actions are indefensible is because what's the adage that we hear? You don't crap where you eat.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not take that into consideration. Okay.
Like yeah.
I didn't realize that was policy, but okay.
That was and that's why they're upholding. That's why they have the grounds to suspend him.
Okay.
In that manner,
that makes more sense.
He violated a policy.
Gotcha.
And I mean, most companies have this policy. If you have
no inter-office affairs,
I think especially if it's with a subordinate or someone who would report up to you or through you.
Because you could use that as a manipulation. Okay.
That's why a lot of companies don't condone that.
Okay.
Right?
That makes a lot of sense.
So I understand the rule. I understand why companies have it, and I understand why he's suspended for that regard. Now, I'm not really dealing with, for me, his home life situation per se. And I'm not really trying to deal with him as we deal with this conversation. I'm dealing with the idea of what we're dealing with. So it makes it more, we can speak more freely about it without feeling like we got to defend or, take someone's side.
Okay.
Why do you think for men, because allegedly this woman is actually married, but Ime Udoka is getting a lot of the smoke for it. So why do you think men are demonized? Now we're at my initial question. Why do you think men are demonized the way we are for this?
I think because I really feel like black men just carry that stigma. And then when it happens, no matter the situation, that's the focal point. That's what gets the clicks. That's what gets podcasts talking about it. Right? Because think about it. If she were spotlighted, I'm sure we'd still chop it up, but socially, do you think it would have went as wild as it did?
Probably not.
Like, dude, just giving you comparison, even though the situations are different, like what Sarver did.
Right.
Like that stuff,
right.
You talk about indefensible.
Right.
Bro, but we talking more about Ime.
Right. No, I mean, I don't have an issue with that at all. I think that's definitely a point to consider for sure.
I mean, you even look at Deshaun Watson since we brought him back up.
Yeah.
Like, not defending anything, but the key point about Deshaun Watson is no, he's not been what word am I looking for? He's not been like legally accused or legally
he's not been criminally
indicted.
Right.
Yeah.
They're all
allegations.
But look how much notoriety, look how much attention that got.
Right.
So it's just like I think it's a target that's on us.
I know sometimes, like, to that point, people ask, man, how could you do that to Nia Long? And I think it's important, like, since we led talking about church, you going back to church, I think about Paul. And do you remember the point in the New Testament when he was writing, the thing that I want to do, don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was speaking specifically about the two natures that exist within his being. He talked about the spiritual side of himself and the flesh side of himself. And so, for the most part, I think a lot of men have good intentions, but there's the natural nature side of us that is drawn to those types of desires. Talking about the natural side for a minute. There's research I was reading it today that was just talking about men after puberty can produce anywhere between 20 to 30 times more testosterone than women. Wow. Now, the testosterone aids in several things that creates the differences between us. Bone density, body fat distribution, facial and body hair. It regulates our mood, red blood cell production, muscle growth and strength. This is why men and women can't play sports together at a high level, right?
Asterisk.
At a high level. Production of sperm. Last but not least, sex drive. 20 to 30 times more testosterone that aids in that, which is why, generally speaking, men have a higher sex drive than women tend to, right?
Right.
Then you add in the fact that we're in a very hypersexualized day and age. We've always been a very sexualized society, but nowadays it's at a push of a button now, right? There's no one, every woman, regardless of where she lives on the country, the world is just a DM away.
Oh gosh.
Right?
That's wild.
The access you have to sexual content, the access you have to sexual content in music, movies, TV shows, whatever, the access that you have. And then you have this guy who, by and large, has climbed the socioeconomic ladder, played basketball, sport he loves at the highest level. Sure, it may have been a journeyman, but played at the highest level. You don't do that without making some money, some bread. Want a chip. Learn from a Hall of Fame coach, right? Coaching. In year one, you led a storied franchise to the NBA Finals. And at one point, you was looking like you was in the driver's seat to win the thing, right? You don't get that far and then start having the options that you have. And if you're not walking in the spiritual side, I don't know his spiritual situation. I don't know if he's a man of faith or what. But in the Bible, there are men of faith who fail walking with God. What do we think this dude gonna do? Why are we so shocked about this guy?
Right.
Like, this is stuff these men deal with all the time in this position. And it reminds me of something I heard Charlemagne the God say years ago. He said this, and he said, men are as faithful as their options. Then the more modern version of that, I've heard Kevin Samuel say, is high value men don't cheat, they exercise their options. You've heard that. What are your thoughts about that? Because when I hear that, I don't hear so much prescriptive, but this is just my thinking. I hear descriptive. I just think this is just kind of because of everything I laid out. This is typically what we see with men in that position. But what are your thoughts about that?
There's definitely two interesting viewpoints on that. But I can't stop thinking about the high value man exercising his options. There's a lot I can question about that in terms of context. But for me, no, we gotta take this through the lens of Ime, right? An unmarried man, highly successful, high value. Yeah, dude, that's rough. That's rough. Like, even if he is a man of faith, I'm not saying he's not,
But he has options. At the
Right.
very least, he has the option
Right.
to do it.
Right. So it changes everything. And
Yeah.
this is an arena that I cannot speak on.
Cause see, it's easy. It's easy for me to say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that."
Right.
But I don't have his options.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. For me,
Let's keep it funky.
I don't have near those options.
Like he got Nia Long for crying out loud. So I clearly, right?
Right.
So I know that can be upsetting. Again, what he did was indefensible because of a rule he broke. But I think about that, and I think about something that you brought up early, which I'm glad it was an amazing point you brought up, is there's just certain things that black men can't get away with. And so I think as, you know, in men's spaces, whether it's red pill community or men's help communities, we talk about increasing your value and becoming more of a quality man. But one of the things that's not talked about, I don't think enough or emphasized, is as you climb the socioeconomic ladder and as you become more of a high value and more high quality, your character has to follow. Because if you believe in the whole rising tides principle, as you develop and grow in status, as you grow in you know your bank account, you grow in your career, right? Everything else grows with you. Not only do your opportunities or your options grow, but your risk grows as well. You got more to lose. And with black men, we can't do what our white counterparts do. We can't do it. For whatever reason, to your point, we don't get that grace. And for us, it's almost like you have to be how is it, twice as good?
Yeah.
To get half as far? Like you don't have the room for error that your white counterparts have. So you gotta be on point. You have to work on your character. You have to be, I don't know how you can fully succeed. You can have some success, but I don't know, especially when you're in predominantly white environments, I don't know how you can succeed without having that character.
Right.
Thoughts on that?
No, there's not many thoughts there. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Don't be an average man either.
Yeah.
Like you can be disposed of so quickly.
Right. Absolutely.
Ime, as far as we know, he may get a shot to coach next year. Like that still looks like a reality to him. I don't know. You think he's done coaching in the NBA?
No. I don't think so.
Right.
Maybe with Boston, but not.
If Deshaun can come back as the highest paid quarterback.
Well, let's be clear. I don't think anyone outside the Boston Celtics care.
That is factual.
I don't think anybody cared to
that. That is
extent.
factual.
Especially with it being, and we'll get into the whole consensual argument about that. But I look at his situation, and I always look at it as, you know what, this is an opportunity for a teachable moment for me. As I'm trying to develop and grow, as I'm growing, my risk is growing. Like I got a daughter coming into the world. Like the risk, I have to be very intentional about what I do, because now I'm teaching this young girl, I'm modeling to her what a man looks like. Right? You got sons, you're modeling to them what a man supposed to look like and how he carries himself. And so I'm realizing that as I work my butt off, whether it's this podcast or other business ventures I got going on with friends or my career, no matter what I'm doing, I have to carry my character with me. Because all it takes is one poor decision, and I can't expect to get that grace. In fact, I mean, even when you look at the whole Deshaun Watson situation, he may or may not have done nothing wrong, but you know what I mean? If there's some poor decisions being made, you put yourself in a position to end up in a situation like that. And so I understand that, man, I have to be on my square when I'm in these white space, because you're still an employee.
Right.
It's not like you own your own stuff and you can do what you want to do. You're an employee, which means you are dispensable potentially to them, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that, man, for me, it's a wake up call for me. I don't know what it does for you gentlemen. I mean, I think we good dudes, but it makes me to think I have to be a lot more intentional about how I carry myself, even in just my sex. An example of character, because character can be kind of ambiguous, but discipline. Doing what you got to do when you got to do it, whether you feel like it or not. It's easy to just, if you got the options this man have, or a high value man, the options it's easy. It's easy to get into that. But man, how often do we see Adam Levine?
Oh,
Adam Levine.
Here you go.
How often do we see situations like this where the woman is looking for clout? She's looking for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one poor decision, Carl Lentz. I can keep naming people who make decisions and it costs them. They may not lose their spouse, but you effed up the bag though. You messed up your opportunity.
Right.
And so that's why I know for us, I'm not saying this isn't true for non-black men, but it's for black men especially. You gotta carry your character with you wherever you go. That is your currency. As you develop yourself and level up, your character has to rise with your skill set and your drive, your ambition. You gotta have the character. Without it, you're a sitting duck.
No, I guess one thing I was looking at was how many games do they have in the NBA season?
82.
Okay, because I was curious about the Malice in the Palace, and Meta World Peace got 86 games for that, and I don't think what Ime did rises to that level, but it was that was an in-house decision.
There's not going to be a documentary on what Ime did.
I don't know.
I think Ime also has to.
I guess it's details. Yeah.
Ime is going to have to overcome the media narrative before he can get another position, I believe, because they're writing his demise right now.
Well, let's talk about that when you mention media, because I wanted to ask you your thoughts about a conversation that was had on ESPN. Two conversations, rather. Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith. Did y'all see those interactions?
I saw it.
I did not.
You did not see it.
Did not
you want to fill him in on it, Black?
Well, Stephen A. was speaking on the subject of Ime, and I believe Malika Andrews called in. And she pretty much tried to, I guess she tried to scold Stephen A. a bit, because he was explaining about how, kind of like what I was talking about, the consensual part of it, and how they pretty much put Ime out there to they pretty much hung him out to dry. And he mentioned something about the women, and she immediately jumped in and said that we're not going to point the finger at the women in this situation, and got on Stephen A. about that. And he had to correct her. It was that's not what I was doing. He was just trying to say that if you're going to be, you need to be consistent with your punishments in the NBA is all he was saying. But she jumped on this whole protect the moment at all costs type of story. And he pretty much told her that but while he was trying to explain his part, she interrupted him, and he told her, "You're not going to interrupt me on my own show," and kind of put her back in her place. But she was trying to say that he was trying to point the finger at the women when that's not what he was doing.
She felt the way about his comments about dealing with the other side. Basically, why are we only hearing about Ime
and not the other people that violated the policy?
Well, because we know other people did. Well, she did.
At least one we know.
Yeah, the woman
at
did.
least one. Yeah.
So what are her repercussions?
Nope, you're not going to point the finger.
So the second conversation was had with Kendra Perkins, who basically reiterated. It wasn't First Take. It was another ESPN show.
Yeah,
but
he was on a panel.
He was on a panel, and he was actually. You can see him.
Oh yeah.
You can see him. You know, he wasn't there on the panel, but you know how people you can see them on the screen.
Oh yeah,
they're there.
Yeah.
He basically. It was a similar thing, but what he was talking about was he basically was holding Boston accountable for how they kind of botched the handling of this situation. And so his point is that the fact that they were so vague and ambiguous at the first communication about this to the general public or the media led to people trying to research and find out what was going on. And that is what caused certain women's names to be dragged out because the Boston wasn't forthcoming with what happened.
So people started speculating.
And that's what, I don't know if you saw it, but Brad Stevens and I think the owner had a press conference about it. And Brad was talking about how, you know, basically the women that were dragged out, that wasn't necessary, that, you know, that he hate that happened, the whole 9, right? The whole 9 yards. And so Kendrick's point was, well, that's on Boston. And your whole communication was that it was consensual. So we're talking about 2 consenting adults. So there's only one person being punished. Well, then she basically stepped in again and interjected and was referring to the fact that we're going to trust the independent review.
Yeah, that was an investigation.
That was an investigation. And so we're not going to get into speculation. We're going to trust what came out of the review. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the investigation by this independent third party. Right? But Kendrick's like, no, I actually had the details. Like the dude played for Boston. You don't think he can find out?
Oh yeah, he knows people.
You don't think he can find? You don't think he knows
connected.
What happened?
Right.
So I want to know your thoughts on that because it seems like, to Black's point, there seems to be this
protect women at all costs
type of mantra in situations like this. I just want to know your thoughts. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
As he scratches his head.
No, I don't. I have so many questions that are kind of like,
ask away.
Okay.
And we probably won't have the answers, but
they're polluting.
Yeah, I may be sway.
Well, they're
I may not
polluting
have answers until years later.
They're polluting my thoughts. So like, and they reiterate a lot of what y'all talked about, but I am genuinely curious about like how even the identity of this woman at this moment is unknown.
Well, because of who she's connected to. That makes sense to me.
Well, she's connected to a higher up in the organization.
Yeah. Oh, she got the protection.
Yeah, and then okay, so then what are you left with?
What am I left with?
Yeah, if you're gonna obfuscate her, you're left with Ime.
Yeah. Oh, we know what time it is.
Right.
But that goes back to my previous point about your character following you everywhere you go.
Right. But in terms of this protecting woman thing, like, I guess they've made it easy in this situation because she seems to be pretty protected.
Oh, for sure.
But is the question why? Or the question is what do I think about?
So why is it that people get triggered when there's an obvious... It's obvious a woman did something.
Because this is standard man behavior. This is standard black man behavior. So like,
are you devil's advocate right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the
before you react, Black.
Right. The status quo is to chastise him. And so if you're operating anywhere outside of
black
that,
man protocol.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is
if
what
you're
you do for black
operating
man.
anywhere outside of that, then there's a problem. That's my thought of why that is.
Or just men, period. Just men, period.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're getting at. But, yeah. Here's how I look at it. Black, did you have any thoughts?
No, you go ahead.
Here's how I look at it. I look at it as there have been times in history where you did have, and probably still present day, I'm not saying that it's over, but you have had situations where women were put in uncomfortable situations, where their direct report or a higher up was being either inappropriate and they had nowhere to turn to.
Right.
Before the Me Too movement.
Correct. And so I do know that there is foul play and this does happen. But what I think we're seeing today, 2022, is what I tend to term as an overcorrection. And now, because of this overcorrection, the woman can play the victim even if she's wrong.
Like Amber Heard.
He got him. He's sitting on him right there. He's firing him off. But we see that, right? And so if you've bought into that mindset, you're triggered when you seek accountability from a woman in this regard.
Okay.
You're triggered by that because something about that doesn't sound or feel right.
Right.
But isn't that equality? I'm asking.
It smells like it from over here.
Because is it only equality when you can benefit from it? Because the only people that I know on this planet who can't be held responsible for consenting to an illicit relationship, they're called children. Adults can consent to a relationship.
That's making it non-illicit. Yeah. Which this was.
Yeah.
Non-illicit. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know that part.
So what's the problem?
Uh,
So what's the problem?
The only issue is that they were both employees of the same company.
right.
Otherwise,
But surface level, they both agreed to it.
but if it weren't-
But here's the thing: the Celtics said this was Perk's point, which was beautiful. The Celtics said it was consensual. So his point was, and she totally overlooked what he said because she got triggered. She heard one thing. He said, if there was foul play on a part of Ime Udoka, if he was using his position and power, you ruin that by saying it was consensual.
That is a good point.
You ruined the opportunity to protect them if there was something wrong. He
Right.
said that.
Because I guess in a normal situation like this, the woman would say, "Oh no,"
Or you wouldn't say that.
"Oh yeah," you
As an
you would keep that
organization.
detail under wraps. That's a good point. That's a really good
So
point.
they fumbled that if that's the case.
right.
but that really isn't a fumble because they're telling the truth,
They telling the truth.
and people aren't willing to accept that truth. They just looking past that part.
And we're trying to figure out the why. I don't
You
know
can't even,
why.
You can't even use the whole, even though people want to use that there may be more to it, that he used his power. He can't use his power.
They're in two different parts of the organization.
Right.
No. She had more power. As it turns out, she had more power than he did.
Obviously, because of the
She could have
results.
easily gone, allegedly, if this is the person we're talking about, she could have went to her husband and said, "Hey, babe, you know this head coach who's killing it in his first year?"
He's really killing it.
I thought you go somewhere else.
No, I'm not going there.
Okay.
Who's killing it on the court?
Okay.
Yeah.
Be clear.
Good call. Who's killing it on the court? He's saying things to me at work that really makes me uncomfortable. If things were good between you and him.
Right.
But obviously it wasn't. So, hey, girls got to do what a girl's got to do. If there was really something wrong here, that could have been dealt with Ime.
Right. Which I've read that some people have said that this has been brewing for a while. Like this has been known within the organization for a while. It just now surfaced. So okay, so it could play that second point you made.
It is. I just think it goes back to my point about why your character is so important. Especially when you are, at the end of the day, you're an employee, bruh.
For real.
One day you're trying to plan how you're going to defend your Eastern Conference title. The next day, you're at home with a pissed off fiance that you embarrassed and your children that you embarrassed. And you got to sit in timeout for a year and sit in this mistake.
Life comes at you fast. Mercy, that's a grave reality.
Because of what?
Keeping your pants.
Poor decisions. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. How many men have fought like Samson? Think about Samson. Strongest man was overcome by a feminine woman who knew how to press his buttons. Sexual discipline, bruh.
So are we saying that if he's gonna do it outside the organization?
I think that's what you say. But because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Because that's actually a good question. That's actually a good question.
Let's
talk about it.
Okay, because I thought about this.
Black, let's turn up.
I thought about this.
Let's turn up, Black.
Think about this. I got a good example of that.
Okay.
Y'all remember Carmelo?
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo, Lala. I don't know what's going on with them. They're
done.
They're done.
Are they done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the best example.
Yeah, she's on IG trying to replace him.
Oh, really? Well, okay. I think we can still use this.
Boy.
I still
on
think,
IG.
I still think we can use this.
As a learning.
But Carmelo stepped out with the adult performer.
I don't know who it was.
Okay. That was not in the Knicks organization at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Paul George did it.
Paul George did it.
Yeah,
but these were all outside.
Never mind.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
These were all outside of
the organization.
So I don't condone it, but I see where Black is going.
What about Matt Barnes and his
Derek Fisher and all that?
I think Fisher did he get some sort of punishment for something?
I don't know.
Okay. I can't remember.
But
I forget.
But I'm trying to.
I forget what happened. I knew something happened. I don't know to what degree. Was he coaching already at that time?
I think he was a coach, and then
the WNBA.
He may have been in the NBA.
NBA
He may have been coaching the Knicks when I think about it. Yeah,
head coach.
I think so. He coached the Knicks for a stint.
What was the guy from
Phil
Chicago?
Jackson? Phil Jackson had him there, the coach. And I think you're right.
But Jeannie wasn't employed by the Lakers at the time, was he? Was she?
Who?
Jeannie Buss? Phil Jackson? Jeannie Buss?
No, Phil Jackson was like the GM of the Knicks
at the time.
And he handpicked Derek Fisher to be the coach of the Knicks.
Okay.
You remember when Phil was with the Knicks?
Yeah.
And then Fisher had a dust up with Matt Barnes.
Right. All that.
He's with
We're
Matt
saying
Barnes.
from a timeline perspective, all that happened.
Phil Jackson. I was thinking about Phil Jackson's situation that people brought up this last week.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
But no, I'm trying to pare this down to the average common man.
Well, here's the thing. Because I brought up the whole spiritual aspect of it. Depending on your values, you know what you're doing it right, regardless of whether it's inside or outside of the organization you belong to. What I think is a character move, even though there's scripture that speaks against it, is just being honest and upfront about your situation. I think that speaks a lot to what Kevin Samuels was talking about, is that you let the person know on the front end and you give them freedom of choice that, hey, I like women. You know, I'm gonna be with other women, but I'm safe. I practice whatever, safe sex, whatever. I ain't bringing none home, kids, STDs. I'm not doing none of that. but I may
Step out.
step out. You just need to know that up front. To me, that's respectable because you're not deceiving her. I think that's respectable.
She can never be blindsided by that.
She can't sit up and act like, you know what I mean?
Right.
If she stays, she knows what she's getting herself into. Right?
Right.
To me, that's respectable, but at the same time, that can't be more important than your bag and your purpose and what you're pursuing. Like you sleeping with a woman can't precede. No one has ever been successful in life chasing women. But you know the other statement, men have gotten a lot of women chasing success.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
It's never the other way around.
Right.
So for you to make the certain decision that it just killed your opportunity, your priorities are out of whack.
Well, could that be a reach though? Like, does that rob him of the ability to have a lapse in judgment?
Oh, you can have a lapse in judgment. You're not going to hell for it. What I'm saying is this cost you a lifetime of an opportunity.
Well, yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And is he getting paid half his salary? They haven't even released any of that, have they?
Yeah, I think
They gonna pay.
it seems like it's gonna be like significant financial
No, he's
punishment.
getting paid, but not what he was going to get paid.
I think maybe I've heard this can be significant like financial
Like fines.
repercussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he violated team rules.
He could still get fired. Like
Yikes.
we don't know. Like I don't know how, if that executive is still there, how he comes back and coaches.
Yeah, there's that whole situation.
Like, could you imagine going to work every day and have to look at somebody in the face who's
been slam dunking your
Pound Town? Took your wife to Pound Town. I got to work with you. Like, what are the odds?
right?
What are the odds look like for Udoka to come back and just coach and all is forgiven? Now he's a good coach, so I understand.
Yeah, somebody gonna have to go.
That's all I'm saying, Gat.
Yeah, they got to send him.
Your
to the West
priorities
Coast.
out of whack a little
They got to
bit.
send him to the West Coast.
Yeah, they got to send him to the West Coast.
Udoka or the exec?
Udoka.
You think so? So we've forgotten all about the NBA Finals and Udoka. We remember the outcome, of
I don't
course.
think the executive cares.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because like you said, we all got a boss. So, yeah, okay.
And like, I hate to say it, but like, who cares about Boston Celtics?
Well, I think a lot of people care now. They're in the NBA Finals. This is one of America's teams.
People still don't like the Celtics, man.
There are more people that do.
Yeah, okay.
You like him?
Who?
I was just checking. Just making sure you were still loyal to Dub Nation,
I don't have a team.
other than Dub Nation. So, but do you get my point though about
I do.
that?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because what do you have to show for it? Is my thing. What do you have to show for it?
Right.
Obviously, that relationship is done.
Is it worth it at the end of the day?
What do you
is
have
the
to
biggest
show for that
question.
decision?
Right.
Yeah, it was a decision. We're gonna give you grace, but can he get his job back? I can't get that for him. Can you?
I don't know. Before talking, like I really felt good about his chances of returning as coach. But now after hearing all this, I don't know.
Is there like an NBA version of Nick Saban that takes in the old coaches, rehab them, and send them back out?
No.
I can't think of any.
I can just see it going back to San Antonio maybe, but that's about.
Yeah, Pop may take him back. He's got value.
Yeah, he does. No, he's gonna get a job.
Right.
He's still one of the hottest coaches in the. I don't think anyone outside of Boston cares. He just got to fly right the next job he gets.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they may even sign up and make sure he signs something too, just to
100%.
a morality clause.
And this office could be on the other end of the building.
right. Right. You
enter through this door right here, and you exit through this door.
You working with nothing but dudes. That's all you see, man. Ain't no women in this building.
Nope, you got interns, college interns. That's all you got. Male college interns.
You're about to say that's work.
You were like, sign me up now.
Man.
What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts about all of that?
There's a lot of validity in what you said, for sure. To me, I don't have anything outside of the.
Can men exercise their options, in your opinion?
Can men exercise their options?
Oh,
no, I don't think they should. But can they? Oh, for sure. Just know the repercussions.
They have.
Know the potential repercussions is all I say.
It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I mean, look at me. I'm trying to juggle a wife and a baby mama. Like I'm spent.
Yeah. That's why you have a difficult time, doing what you do, I guess.
Yeah, he's struggling over there.
Whatever that is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you just have to count the cost, in my opinion. You just have to determine, like, that can never, the amount of time and energy it takes to pull that off. Think if you actually put that towards something constructive. Ooh, how much further down the road you could be.
What if that little bit of effort would have got you the championship?
Oh gosh, no, there was nothing stopping Dub Nation, but we're not here to talk about that. But then
no team though.
I don't have a team. But then, like, gosh, what we've already established, we wouldn't be having this conversation if Ime had Ime had done anything.
Don't crap where you eat.
Right. So, like,
it's a non-story.
Even if you do need to go take a swim, like,
take a swim.
Like, for real though, like, you don't think you can go slide with something else? Like, that's what I want to know. What's the appeal with this one woman?
Convenience, I guess.
And we may never know that.
But convenience, but see, and again, we're speculating.
Convenience and power play probably, because, like, if I got her up and she reports she's married to him.
See, here's the thing. This isn't a bad looking dude. He played in the NBA. Ain't no telling what his prospects have looked like for years. You can get to a point where you almost feel like you're invincible.
That part.
Because I think Nia's been a fiance for a number of years.
Talk to me.
Oh, for real?
Like, yeah, 7 years.
How long is that?
To Ime? Oh, wow.
You probably been feeling yourself for a minute.
So then Nia knows.
Yeah. He redshirted her for a number of years.
My man said he redshirted her. Facts. Lord have mercy.
Facts. She was on an 7-year internship program.
Oh my goodness. Y'all show some respect for Queen Nia.
No, he needs to show some respect for Queen Nia. Then we'll show some respect. How about that?
Yeah, 5th year senior.
So
finally started.
Nia gotta know.
She took the COVID year too.
She will.
Hey, now she finna hit the transfer portal.
Now she finna hit the
grad transfer and COVID year.
Jeez. That's real.
So my point is, dude, Nia know what it is.
Right.
She know what it is, and he know what it is. Dude probably feel like, man, I almost won a championship in year 1. I'm that dude.
I can touch whatever I want.
What? Dare me. You are still an employee, brethren. You're still an employee.
Policy applies to you also.
Character would have put you in check. Humility is a sign of good character too. Now you got to take Kendrick's advice. Sit down.
Be humble.
Be humble. Guys, we appreciate you for hanging out with us. You already know what to do. If you're watching us on YouTube, and if you haven't done so already, if you're doing what I call lurking, don't lurk. Smash that like button, guys, and subscribe to our channel. Also, guys, you can follow us on social media. That's The Tipping Point. The Tipping Point. THA Tipping Point, one word. On Instagram and Twitter. Please go out and do that. And as always, I'm Caesar Walker. That guy over there is Ronnie Gatry. And we are The Tipping Point Podcast. Thanks again for listening.
Tipping Point Podcast.